Hey, and welcome back to the Talos Principle. Last time we met like one of the messengers, and today I finally am ready to leave this area, take the elevator up and check out what awaits me on the other side. Because we should be done with this area like completely, like all the 7 areas, everything is crossed out. We only are missing 2 of the golden stars. And then we actually have like enough for the golden area, but like one I have like no clue where it is, and the other one's probably related to a number puzzle that I don't get. We tried it last time, but I am just kind of stumped. So in any case, it's time to go up. Does this tell me anything? Not really. Okay, let's go up. I do like that sometimes you can still use left click to use something even though it tells you E. It is such a weird little thing, but alas, so be it. We've already been up here once and looked at the tower. I'm not gonna do the tower yet. I feel like this is something I'm gonna wait with until the end. That was some weird noise. It was probably just some steam. Have I been up here? It is so dark again. Like I mentioned this before, I can't see anything in like the darker areas just because of the lamps shining into my face. But that's just the way it is. I don't think that there was anything here. We looked through most of it last time. I'm just making sure that maybe, maybe there's like a star hidden or something like that. It doesn't seem like we have like an inventory where we can just pick up like smaller items in this game. So I'm just gonna assume that everything we see is going to be something floating. Also, I want to check out like this door, but I have no idea how to reach it, if that's even possible. So I would say it's probably just time to leave into the eternal ice. Look at that tower. I'm looking forward to climbing that one at some point. But we do have the C area and the B area, and we do have the gate for B already unlocked, but not for C, so I guess we have to go here. Did I read that terminal? I guess I didn't. Huh. I mean, that also kind of explains some stuff. Like, for some reason last time I was here, I didn't notice that there was like a C building here. We probably can't do anything there. I'm guessing before we can enter the levels, we probably have to go through that gate. And obviously that's going to be closed because I don't have like enough pieces yet. Even though technically... No, wait, I'm missing like one L shape. If I had like one more L shape, I could, instead of opening B, I could probably open this one. That's fine though. I'm gonna ignore the terminal here. I'm gonna read that one once we get closer to area C, I would say. Because I don't think we've read that one last time. And instead I'm going to read the terminal over here. It's been a few days since I last read something, so that's nice. Oxyrhynchus.html, okay, and Book of Osiris.wiki, okay. I'll start with the HTML first. There's also going to be, we can see some fancy code that you can now read on screen, and I will see in probably a few days once I edit this. The great irony of Oxyrhynchus papyri is that such a vital source of information about the ancient world exists only because of a garbage dump, while the library of Alexandria burned at the hands of fanatics and conquerors, depriving us of unimaginable insights into history, philosophy and art. The papers, carelessly thrown away by the citizens of Oxyrhynchus, survive to the modern day. And though it is true that a great deal of what we know today is because of the conscious efforts of individuals and organizations, such as the spectacular translation and preservation work done during the Islamic Golden Age, so much more is simply the result of coincidence and luck. We've lost texts that the ancients considered to be absolutely essential while utterly trivial, even plagiarized. Work has survived unharmed. And then we have like a long quote here. So if we want our descendants to remember more than glittering emo vampires and auto-tuned teen pop stars, we have to invest in something, make sure that... swear words, apparently. Yeah, that definitely is a point that we should make sure to make a conscious effort to preserve stuff, right? Like there are definitely some I'm gonna call it like programs and organizations that work on that. Like even if you're talking like biology, there are like these like seed lab, like I'm gonna call it like a seed lab. It's like a seed storage vault. Like where is it? It's not in Antarctica, right? It's like in Greenland, I think. Where they just basically freeze like a lot of like seeds in case some plant species go extinct, right? Like seedlings and all that stuff. So we can hopefully revive them in the future should anything bad happen. And even when we're talking just about like knowledge, I mean, there's like stuff like the Internet Archive, right, or like the Wayback Machine to kind of preserve parts of history, because especially in the digital age, it's actually really easy to delete stuff, right? Like, we don't have to make a great effort to delete like massive amounts of work that has been made, even if it's just like something private. Like if I write like a text doc, like if I were to write it on like a physical piece of paper, I still have to throw it away, and oftentimes that's like a step that I wouldn't really want to do. I would probably just throw it into like some shelf or something like that, and would just like rest there for all eternity. But here on a PC, I can just press the delete key and it's gone forever and never to be seen again. So we definitely have to make like a conscious effort, especially because we are, I'm gonna call it like in a weird way, smart enough to realize that how easy it is for knowledge to get lost, that we really have to make sure that doesn't happen. Obviously, this is always like not just a conscious effort of like individuals, even though they, again, for digital stuff, that's like something that a lot of people do. Like a lot of people have like local copies of, for example, Wikipedia or like other internet sites. Oftentimes like movies and all that stuff that they have like on DVD, and they also have like a copy somewhere, oftentimes like 3 or 4 times, just in case that gets lost, kind of, right? There's like a lot of lost media if you think about it, right? Like, I know it's like a completely irrelevant, okay, it's not completely irrelevant, right? Like, but imagine like all of the shows that used to run like back in the day when like a movie or like TV companies kind of want to save space, and they just use like the same film and played something else on there, right? There's like, I know there's like a conscious effort for like a long running series like Doctor Who, for example, right? Like, I'm using that as an example just because it's like such a long running show where a lot of the older episodes just don't exist anymore, and like there's still the hope that somebody might have recorded it, because like was it the BBC back then already? Probably like basically had overwritten like all of the film that was used, or like that held like all of the episodes, for example. And it's like so easy to do, right? Just because like back then nobody thought that somebody would care in like a few decades time, and apparently people care. Right, it's so easy to just delete it, and this is like, don't forget, this is like 2 generations ago, I'm gonna call it, and people already back then thought like, hey, this isn't actually worth to save, and people in the future might still be curious about it, right? Like, I guess hoarding knowledge sometimes is quite nice. Anyway, Book of Osiris. Why is it a Wikipedia page? The Book of the Scribe of Osiris, sometimes also referred to as the Book of the Journey to Aaru, it's an ancient Egyptian text discovered in the excavation of Oxyrhynchus. You know, one day I'm going to look that word up, probably after I'm done with recording, and I'm gonna learn how to pronounce it. It has caused a certain degree of controversy among Egyptologists, as some argue that it is a classic funerary text, such as the Book of Coming Forth by Day, while others believe it to be a poetic work not intended to be understood literally. The book tells the story of a dying man who asks a scribe about the afterlife. The scribe, a servant of Osiris, describes how the man's Ka, life force, will become separated from his Ba, personality, and how he will have to reunite the two and become an Ark, living intellect, passing a series of trials in the Duat, the underworld, in order to reach the paradise of Aaru. Unlike similar texts, the Book of the Scribe of Osiris focuses less on giving advice or something. Why are you putting like break symbols in there? A recent study, Kanaran Hassan, suggests the text may have been intended as philosophical commentary on the world of the living through the allegory of the Duat. It remains unclear whether this was the intent of the original pre-Alexandrian author or a result of the later translation into Greek. The earlier manuscript, which is considered to be more authentic, is too fragmentary to provide answers through perhaps further excavation may something. And yeah, there's definitely again like some truth in the second one, where sometimes you kind of need the original still, right? Even if we are working with like translations, oftentimes translations need some liberty to really get the point across. And we're not even just talking about like some important philosophical texts. It's like a big thing that I always, or that I realized very early when I was still like, I'm gonna call it like passively learning English, right? How, for example, even German and English, which are like linguistically at least somewhat related, right? We all know that like English is like so many languages combined, but still, even there are even small translations can drastically shift the meaning of something just because you're losing so much. And it's not just the original text, but obviously also like the cultural impact of a text, or like the context is probably a better way to put it. Yeah, right, where like certain actions can be seen vastly differently, and translating them oftentimes is like an imperfect way of preserving it. So yeah, this is like definitely something. Also interesting, I had heard about Dwert as like the underworld and stuff, but there are definitely some terms in that I had not heard before, but I am once again not a big expert on myth. But yeah, interesting. And also, right, like always the question that is kind of posed if you find like a text from the past where you oftentimes don't know if it's like, and I'm gonna lose like loosely, if it's like reality or fiction, right? Like in this case, obviously they're talking about like if something is poetic, or they call it like a classic funerary, apparently. Right, like if I say it like this, there are obviously some things that are in the context of the culture back then seem quite different to what it is now. Anyway, we can philosophize another time. I want to open this door. Let's open... Can I figure it out quickly? We've done so many puzzles already in this recording session. I can't believe it. I can't put you like that because this is going to block stuff in the future. Can I do this? Right, just because we have like this long piece. So I was aware that this didn't work. Okay, this looks quite similar to the previous room. We also have like this door here. I don't really know what the door's about. Last time we at least had like some path to almost jump over. This time we don't have that. I mean, it might just be decoration, right? Like sometimes I'm just overthinking stuff, but it might be good to know. Oh, this time we can actually walk up to the door. You can't open it, but we are here. Also some text. By Elemas? I'm guessing the four's an A, right? I've seen the truth. Only Elohim can save us from eternal oblivion. I mean, could be. Like my theory, like I had like this theory that I posted like some episodes, or this is just a window, some episodes ago, where my theory was basically that Elohim is basically an AI tasked to create like a human level AI. And once one AI is like smart enough to be considered human, they can ascend the tower. And once they are done with the tower, they are ascending basically, right? That's like what I said. And then the whole program before then gets deleted. So like thrown into oblivion, right? Quite literally. So maybe, like this is still a theory that I hold here. And I'm really curious if I am right about that or wrong. But obviously this is something for future me. Okay, for some reason we got going back to the place.
Stands before you, my child, and know that this is a land of death, but also great beauty. As you walk amongst these tombs, consider all those who came before you, and how they serve the greater purpose of which you are also part.
The land of death. Oh, they did talk about like the desert in like one of the previous texts, and obviously I should have thought about this being like an Egyptian-themed area just because of the text that I had in the terminal. But I was kind of distracted by mispronouncing the underworld. But yeah. Is there something up there? I guess we can't climb there. Still interesting. And we have something new here. Is this a fan? Yeah, this is a fan piece. Okay. Don't know what the fan is going to be about. Very interesting layout still. Kind of want to look at all the paintings like on the walls. guess depictions of death kind of makes sense. I mean, it did talk about the tombs here. Also, there's like a gap in here. But like this seems more intentional, right? Like in a gap in the sense that the stones obviously not all 100% perfectly aligned. Especially after standing around for so long. But I guess we are getting 2 abilities. Oh, a terminal? No, it's not a terminal. What is this? It's like a record play? Can we record ourselves later on? Because it looks like a play button, right? Like even up there. Like I wouldn't be surprised thinking of like all of the like time puzzles that I've seen in other games. This is area 7. Oh wait. It starts at 1 again though. So I'm just gonna start at 1. I don't mind starting at 1. I only need cube and laser here. It's good to know, and I need the fan starting in area 2. So I guess it's time to get like all of the yellow pieces over here. Whoosh. I mean, we will probably only get to reading today, but still. Oh, paint. Found the paint. Where would I paint? Here? Here on the wall? Sure. I have no idea what's going on, do you? The certification is there? Am I losing potential messages each time? I'm just gonna drop you here again. I kind of want to know what happens, like, if I learn more about the world? Ah, it's so bright. If I learn more about the world, does that mean that I get, like, more options? Or are those, like, all the texts that I can just decide on the order I am painting them, basically? Huh. Gonna figure that one out in the future. Ooh. We have Osiris 1, Godded Lyrics, and Immortality. Okay, let's start with Osiris 1. Original translation by E.A. Wallace Budge. Annotations by someone. The dying man went unto the scribe who resided in Per-Medjed and said, Behold, I am weak of body, my days under the holy sun of Amun-Ra are coming to an end. Though I have spent my years in service of the 2 lands, I have not studied the something. Tell me, you who are wise in the writings of the dead, what lies ahead of my journey? What will I face in the land of the Westerners? That's an interesting way to describe it. And the scribe spoke, saying, at the appointed time, something. Oh, okay, there are like some notes here. I do like that. It is likely the location was changed according to who the copy of the book was made for. The dying man is an avatar of the owner. Reasonable, yeah. In the older manuscript, this is rendered as something, some controversy as to whoever it... Okay, something's just broken. You were talking about Amun-Ra. I mean, isn't Ra just the god of the sun? Is Amun-Ra like the full name? Is that like a different type? I really I'm not an expert on like Egyptian mythology, I'm gonna be completely honest. The third one, the Westerners, the dead. Compare with Khenti Amentiu, the foremost of the Westerners, a title later given to Osiris. I don't know where the Westerners comes from though. Because of the setting sun? And something is missing here obviously, and then like there's a 5th note. Sometimes mistaken for a mistranslation on Budge's part. This is actually almost certainly a mistranslation by the ancient scribe. The equivalent portion of the older manuscript sadly not extant. I mean, we are not even getting that part, so I'm kind of disappointed by that. I'm kind of curious if this text is like a real text, or if this is like something made up for this game. Because like there are a lot of texts that seem real, and some of them where I'm not sure if they're supposed to be real, or at least changed. Like we had that one with... Was it Athena? Something with A. That we had read before, like with the mechanical swings. Is it like a real book? I am kind of curious about like Googling stuff, but I mentioned this before. I only want to Google stuff if I'm like 90% sure I know what it's about, or if I'm like at least recognizing it. in texts like those, I kind of want to leave it up for now. I might look it up like at the end of the game, or if I get like some indicator one way or the other to like look some stuff up. But I am more curious about like learning from the game in ways that I don't want to do using Google, basically. Anyway, got it lyrics. Is that a song I know? 24 million views, cannot load video file. My new song with lyrics. Gotta laugh about the stuff. Laughter is the best medicine, lol. Lyrics. I've got it, you've got it, he's got it, she's got it, mommy's got it, daddy's got it, baby's got it, granny's got it, laddie's got it, fatty's got it, happy's got it, sappy's got it. Everybody's got it, come on. I don't know if this is like supposed to be a song I'm supposed to know. Jack's got it, Fred's got it, Bob's got it, dog is fine. Sure. Woof woof woof, woof woof woof, dancing dog. Oh yes, dancing dog. Everybody's got it except dog. Why hasn't the dog gotten it? We've got it, everybody's got it. Except dog. Is it like a positive thing that everyone got that? Like we do have... Okay, it sounds like really silly maybe. We do have a character who's called Dog, right? And maybe I'm overthinking this, right? Like we still are talking about like some, I'm calling it like extinction level event or something like that, that the researchers tried to stop. Maybe it was a sickness and the dogs are immune. Obviously, I'm really reaching here. Don't worry about it. I'm just keeping that in the back of my mind in case it comes up and I can tell you, ah, I told you so. You know, if you just yap enough, at some point you're going to yap about something correct. Anyway, immortality.html. I didn't know that I could just open a website for that. Disgruntlo Meisters Blogstasy episode 204. I don't know about everybody else, but I'm afraid of dying. I don't see any reason to believe there's an afterlife. I'm an organism like any other. When my brain stops working, my consciousness will cease, and I will be gone. And you know what? I can't just embrace that. I can't say, I'm okay with it, or I've accepted it, or some nonsense like that. I don't want to have an ending. It terrifies me. If I had a genie right now, I'd wish for immortality. Who wouldn't? Oh, but you wouldn't really want to be immortal. The pseudo-philosophers say. Pretentious drivel. Everybody wants to live forever. Maybe everybody deserves to live forever too. Or we can't. So here we are. Live with it. Or rather, don't. I mean, the question of immortality is always an interesting one. That sounds like really weird. Obviously, everybody would like to live longer and especially see their loved ones live longer. But I feel like the idea of like true immortality sounds awful in a way, right? And not saying whether an afterlife exists or not. I feel like an actual afterlife existing would be something bad, right? Like if I got put in charge of the universe and I got to change whether there's an afterlife or not. I don't know, it sounds awful, especially because, how do I put it? Assuming, like, imagine you could live for a really long time, like you were immortal in the sense that you couldn't die of old age and like or sickness and that stuff, and you only died like once you wanted to die or like due to accidents or something like that. So you would live a really, really long life. Assume that. In this kind of life, you would still have like constantly new experiences just from the fact that your brain can only hold like a certain amount of information, and at some point you are going to forget about stuff, right? Like if I do something today, like I read a book, if I read that same book in 1,000 years again, I will have forgotten everything. To me, it's going to be a new experience. But this is a limit due to our like biological factors, right? Our brain can only hold so much information. And it's not like a disk where it's like 1 terabyte and that's it. Obviously, the way synapses work is like a bit more complex than that. But conceptually, right, there's like a limit to how much information we can hold. But if we're talking about like a soul, which is not bound by like laws of physics, that wouldn't really happen. I feel like you would get bored at some point, because there's only a finite amount of things that you can, like, for example, read, or that can be created. Because don't forget, if we assume that, like, everyone who's ever died comes into an afterlife, let's just assume everyone ends up in, like, some sort of heavenly paradise, and everything is, like, nice and good and all of that stuff. But for all eternity, at some point, there's not going to be another human, because we had, like, you know, our solar system destroyed when the sun, you know, goes supernova, basically, or at least turns into a red giant. Doesn't actually matter, like, physics-wise. At some point, the human race is going to die out, and then there's going to be a finite amount of humans in this afterlife, all with, like, I'm gonna say, like, a finite amount of, like, new ideas, loosely, right? Like, obviously you can do, like, variations and stuff that you've already seen, but if you have an infinite amount of time, then you're going to kind of experience everything at one point, right? Right? There's, like, some variation that you can still add to it, but it's going to be rather limited. And don't forget, this is going to be eternity. Like, the universe will cease to exist, basically, right? Like, we have, like, the heat death of the universe, nothing's left there, and you still sit around in paradise. And, like, you can say, okay, it's probably nice, but like, I feel like the idea of it never ending, like, at some point, the decades and the millennia are going to seem like nothing, right? I feel like this would be a weird and probably quite cruel fate to be at. To be fair, at least you have, like, other people who are in the same boat as you, but I don't feel like it's going to be as great as people imagine. That's not to say that, like, people aren't afraid of dying. Hey, I am afraid of dying. I would like to live for a long, long time, but I also feel like at some point that's just going to be the point where I go, like, you know what? I've seen enough. There could be, like, other interesting things, right? Like, we're always thinking about, like, our consciousness. I guess if you believe, like, a soul, or even just, like, consciousness as, like, the thing that is you. And there's obviously also the idea, instead of having, like, an afterlife, what about reincarnation, for example, right? Like, just getting born as a new person, or, like, maybe an animal or whatever, depending on what exactly you wanna see in that kind of rebirth. I think that is more interesting in a sense, because at least you don't really worry about, like, this abrupt end, right? It's always just going to continue somehow. But I also would say, like, you still wouldn't be the same person, because as we have previously said, like, all your memories and, like, your personality seems to be kind of connected to, like, your biological body, right? Even if there's, like, some sort of, like, spirit soul or whatever that's, like, kind of riding along or being along for the ride on your body, then you still, like, too much of yourself is kind of bound into, like, the physical aspects of yourself. Like, again, even if you believe in a kind of a soul, that's kind of the thing. So even if you were reborn, like, your soul or whatever we want to call it gets attached to a new body, you still would be another person. You wouldn't even remember your old life. So does it matter at that point? I don't know. I would say probably not. So let's just exit, and I guess this was the terminal for today. And the eye is still here, so I'm still not sure about, like, the eye in general. I know you're looking over here, because, like, some of the eyes apparently stopped working. Maybe it's something once I solve some of the puzzles. I'm just gonna have to pay more attention to that. Anyway, I would say I've yapped enough for today. This was a lot of reading today. And next time, puzzles. In any case, I hope you enjoyed the episode, and I wish you a wonderful rest of your day. I'll be seeing you next time. Till then, have a good one, and bye-bye.